Welcome in the American Express live chat. It's Wednesday. This time is yours. Whatever you want to do. I say it every week and I try to live up to it. But this is a very special live chat. Not only are we going to go through the questions, which I was impressed. I logged on. I fired up the room like 30 minutes ago. Saw there was already a bunch of questions in here. Always great to see that. So hat tip to you guys. But we're going to do that. We're going to answer the questions. We're going to talk. I'm sure we're going to talk plenty of one and done. I'm sure we're going to talk about our betting cards and we're going to make lineups and run models and all that fun stuff. But we are also going to pick the winner of the Players Championship all expense paid trip, hospitality seats, all that stuff. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to tell you. I'm vamping here. Okay. I'll just tell you right now. I'm letting people get into the room. Okay. Because I'm going to draw this within the first couple of minutes. I'm letting people get into the room. I'm letting people get all fired up. But let me just remind you what's going on here. So we ran the one and done on Splash Sports. You guys were absolute legends and you filled this thing. Just unbelievable the way it came through. You guys filled it. Actually, our tiers contest this week is only half full. There's a massive overlay, but we'll worry about that later. You guys filled the one and done. Fantastic. There were two separate draws this year. The first one that I funded, which is if you put an entry in before January 1st, you were entered into that draw to come visit me on the West Coast, play golf, all that stuff. I already drew that winner. His name's Erwin. We're going back and forth about getting him out to the West Coast. The other draw is funded by Splash Sports. That's the one that we are going to draw here in the next couple minutes. This is if you put at least two entries in, you were in this one. You could have been in both very, very easily. So what this is a travel stipend for your airfare, for your hotel, and hospitality tickets at the Players Championship. The Intra-Coastal Club sits between the 12th and the 13th hole. Looks like a great little venue, open air, but covered. Access to private bar, private food, hopefully private restrooms, I imagine. I don't know. But looks like a really cool spot. I will see you there. I'm sure Mina will probably be there in some capacity, and we will enjoy watching the Players Championship in this hospitality suite. So if you were in one of, if you entered two or more entries, you were in this draw. Hat tip to Splash Sports. They said, hey, we want to sweeten the pot a little bit. And we did exactly that. They did exactly that. So this is the wheel of names. These are every person who qualifies entered into this draw. There are 953 entries. So you've got a 1 in 953 shot of winning this draw. Should we do it now? Should we just do it? Should I just click? I'm only going to click it once, right? I'm not going to do that thing where like the card breakers like, oh, I'll roll the dice 3 times and then I'll take that number and randomize. But no, everybody's loaded in here. I'm going to click it one time. The winner's name is going to pop up. I'm going to pass that information over to Splash Sports and they are going to contact you and get you all set up. Okay. Should we just do it now? My gosh, the anticipation is kind of killing me. I want to wait as long. I want to just like do it at the end of the show, but I'm too impatient to do that. All right, let's do it. I've waited 4 minutes. Let's just do it. Here we go. The winner of the trip to the Players Championship is currently being rolled. It's being spun. I'm terrified. I'm nervous. The winner is Sendu. Sendu. Congratulations, Sendu. You have won the trip to the Players Championship. I'll see you there. All right. We'll get this information over to Splash and they will take it from there. But seriously, thank you guys. I believe that concludes all the draws now. I drew for the US Open flag. I drew for the 2 free entries off Twitter. I drew for the trip to the West Coast. I drew for the Players Championship. I believe we are now all caught up on giveaways. Thank you guys so much for taking care of us and getting that thing filled. Just just fantastic. And hopefully we can do more cool stuff like this in the future. All right, let's get into this a little bit. So 3 courses this week at the American Express. And if you hear people say it's a dome golf, they're not really kidding all that much, right? I mean, if you've ever been to the Coachella Valley this time of year, and I have been, ain't nothing out there. All right. Just 73 degrees every single day, a little chillier in the morning, and absolute insane amounts of wind, 4 miles an hour for the first 3 days. About 2 hours, it'll kick up on Sunday to about 8 miles an hour. But this is just take absolute dead aim at these pin flags and see how many birdies you can make. The weather just will not be a storyline. It just will not be impactful really in any sense of the way this week. I'm still waiting for Splash to post the one and done ownership. So I am just going to defer to the Pool Genius projected popularity. My sense is that Patrick Cantlay and Siwoo Kim are going to be the most popular options. That's my sense. And then I think you're going to get some Russell Henley, some Ben Griffin, some Harry Hall, like as that next tier. And then I think you're going to get Jason Day, Thor Bjornsson, maybe like a Matt Fitzpatrick after that. But my sense is that the popular guys are going to be Siwoo Kim and they're going to be Patrick Cantlay. We'll see how it actually shakes out, but that's my sense. So with that being said, I'm going to jump into these questions in just 1 second. I'm going to remind you that the tiers contest, and actually, Mina, can we do this? Okay, last thing, and we'll jump into your questions. Can we throw a poll in the chat? So the tiers contest last week, we used earnings. The tiers contest this week is back to score relative to par. I'll just ask you what you want. Okay. I don't really have a preference. I think both are kind of fun. I think the earnings one is good because even if you have a guy miss a cut or two, it's not that big a deal. You can make up for it because of the way that the payout structures are. But I understand people who say, oh, well, you can't win unless you have the winner, which I don't think is necessarily the case. So I think I am like 60-40 on earnings. I think that's a little bit better. I think it's a little bit more exciting. I think more people are in it, but let's just put a poll in. Earnings or tiers? What do you want this listener league to be? It's your league, right? I'll tell Splash like, hey, we just have to do it this way every single time. So Mina will throw the poll up, and whatever that is, when I get off air, I will email Splash and request that for the rest of the year. And we'll just do it that way. Okay. All right, let's do it. Oh boy, we're rocking and rolling. Thoughts on Rickie? Excited for his 2026. That's Rickie Fowler. This question is from Cash. Let's get into it. This is my website, rickrungood.com. Rickie Fowler, I thought started to put together some decent play at the end of last year, and he did. That T6 at TPC Southwind, the T7 at Caves Valley. The T7 at Caves Valley was pretty elite. It was a complete gain. It was a little bit reliant on the flat stick, but that's just one result. His last 5 or 6 to end the year were all pretty good. And maybe it even goes back farther than that. Maybe the last half of the year was actually quite good. So let's do this. Let's go to power rankings, or I'll go to the Holy Grail. I'm going to cherry pick a little bit, but I want to get an idea for how good Rickie was. Let's say everybody in the world since the Truist. So basically since May. That's a pretty big time frame. So let's say everybody in the world since May of 2025. And let's just look at how Rickie compared. We'll just do PGA events probably. Yeah, okay. And then we'll do minimum 10 starts. Rickie is here. Okay, a stroke per round, 1.09. It's about 20th. It's right below Sam Burns, right above Robert McIntyre. Actually not that far off from Rory McIlroy. Obviously, Rory had some higher end finishes, but 3 top 10s and 7 top 20s is pretty good. So, okay, yeah, I would say this is a pretty stout finish. I want to see it, but he's going to get a good run here. He's going to get this place. He's going to get Phoenix. He's going to get Torrey's an okay spot for him. There's going to be some good spots for him, but that's a very, very strong sentiment to say that he was basically the, 20th best player on the PGA Tour the last half of the year, which is a pretty long time. What duo would you rather have? Thor? I'm assuming that's Michael Thor Bjornsson, and McCarty, or Berger and Bez / Gerard? the second one, but can I take Bez and Gerard instead of Berger in one of them? That's the way that I would go. How would your DFS strategy change if you were playing in contests with 10 people or less than 10 people? I would play a lot of Scotty. I would play a lot of Patrick Cantlay and Siwoo Kim, and I would just worry about like ownership later. You just don't have to do anything that's completely crazy. So right now, Scotty Scheffler, Ben Griffin, Siwoo Kim, Robert McIntyre are likely to be the 4 golfers over 20% in projected ownership. Scotty Scheffler much closer to 40%, so you're going to see him in a lot of lineups. I've got some thoughts and ideas about that, but I mean, I would probably just plug. I mean, I would start like, I don't know if I'd play Scotty, quite honestly, but it'd be like Siwoo, Cantlay, Gerard, and go from there. You don't have to really worry about ownership, and you're probably thinking a lot about floor, which you could go to the power rankings. You could go to strokes gained distribution. You could take this field over the last 75 rounds. You could sort it by golfers who gain at least 2 strokes per round. And that would say, hey, these are the guys that have, basically the highest floor in the field. It's going to be Scotty Scheffler. Who else is it going to be? Daniel Brown. This is across all tours. Dan Brown, Chandler Blanchett, Johnny Kiefer, Pearson Coody, Alex Noren, John Perry, Matt Fitzpatrick, amongst others. You can see the list there, but there's about 12 or 15 guys across all tours, across a bunch of different price points that gain at least 2 strokes to the field 40% of the time. That is probably where I would go. Hey, Rick, I went a little deeper down the board with Nico last week. Should I use a high floor golfer like Cantlay or Griffin, or can I take another shot down the board, Siwoo, and post it? I'm assuming this is for one and done. Way too early to care about what you did last week in relation to what you're going to do this week. So don't care if you got 0 last week, doesn't matter at all. I think that so the way that I'm going to do one and done is probably something like this, where I'm going to have Patrick Cantlay in probably 40% of my entries. I'm going to have Siwoo Kim in probably about 40% of my entries. And then I'm going to have Harry Hall. I will have Matt Fitzpatrick. I will probably have one of like Seamus Power, maybe like a Taylor Pendrith, something like that. But for the most part, I'm going to stick with Cantlay and Siwoo. I don't know where I'm ever going to feel comfortable playing Patrick Cantlay ever again. So I think I'm just going to use him here. Siwoo, maybe I could play him at Wyndham. I know that's a long way away. If he really starts to get hot, I guess I'm not going to play him at the Players Championship. But you know what? I think there's other spots. I just don't trust Cantlay anywhere. So I might as well use him right here. Is Rasmus Højgaard a sneaky one and done play? Let's look at what Rasmus has been up to. I thought he's been a little bit weaker with his iron play as of late. Yeah. Okay. So there's good and bad out of this. The good is he's still putting together decent finishes despite not hitting his irons very well. He's been very reliant on the putter as of late, but that I tend to think that that's like not something that's going to be super sustainable. So this is not as exciting as some other stat profiles. I could probably get to Rasmus Højgaard if I was playing a bunch of one and done entries, or if I wanted to get down to like, he'd probably be like the 7th or 8th guy that I would consider, something like that, to try to put it a little bit into perspective for you, Tyler. But love him long-term, love him for 2026. The stat profile that he's putting up right now is a little bit concerning. Who do you like in each of the tiers in Splash? Can you do ownership projections for it each week? Oh boy. I will admit that is not going to be on my list of priorities. It's just not. So I mean, I'll just show you. I'm way behind this week on getting entries in. I only have 1 entry in right now. I'll put some more in later, but you can just see who I went with. Let me just show you kind of what the idea is on some of these tiers here. So I went with Scotty in tier 1. Again, this is not it's not a salary cap game. It's a tier game, right? So I've got to pick somebody from tier 1, and Scotty Scheffler's the best option. If you wanted to get a little bit different here, I think there's probably other tiers to get different in, but I would probably go Scotty 1. I would probably go Henley 2, Fitzpatrick 3, so on and so forth. Tier 2, I think Steve was going to be pretty popular. I went with Pendrith. If you wanted to go with Jason Day or even Christian Bezuidenhout, I probably think that Bezuidenhout's the second best player in this tier. I would be fine with that. Tier 3, I went with Ryan Gerard. I wouldn't have any problem if you went with Thor Bjornsson. I wouldn't have any problem if you went with JT Poston. I think Poston's a little bit riskier. I think Gerard is like by far the best player in this tier, or at least has been. Tier number 4, I think this is a pretty significant step down. Grazerman is a decent option, though we need kind of last year's vintage Grazerman. I went with Daniel Berger. I think he's pretty clearly the play in this tier. Tier 5, I went with Pendrith and Coody. Just fantastic driver of the ball, fantastic scorer. If you wanted to go with either McGravy or Mac Meisner, I'd be fine with that. If you wanted to go with Bridgman, I'd be fine with that. Actually, there's a lot of good options in the tier 5. And then tier 6 is everyone else. And I just went with Seamus Power because he's been the guy that I've been stoked about all week. Let's do a deep dive on Harry Hall, because I think I think what happens is this. I was very high on Harry Hall last week. And he played in the final group and did not play particularly well on Sunday. It was his worst round of the week. And I think people are going to look at this as a bad thing. Harry Hall finished T6 last week. That's a very positive thing. He gained strokes in all 4 major categories. It was not super reliant on the putter. I actually think this week is probably a better place for Harry Hall than last week was. So I was excited about Harry last week. I'm even more excited about him this week. I think it's going to be a really good spot for him if you're going to have to differentiate with the putter. And I mean, listen, he plays out of Las Vegas. He knows desert golf. This is desert golf. Absolutely. So it's Harry for me. Stuck between 3 for 1 and done. Ben Griffin, Siwoo, and Poston. Yeah, I just prefer to go Siwoo here. I think you can use Ben Griffin in a lot of places. I think it's a little early to use Poston. I would probably just play Siwoo. Need my one and done pick to make the cut. It's a survivor style. Oh, okay. Well, we get 54 holes. So who is the lock? Okay. So I wonder if this shows up in. I'm going to try to do something like this. Let's see what this looks like. My hunch is Siwoo would be the riskiest. Let's see if that's true. I'm going to open this up a little bit. Let's say 100 rounds. Like, how often does Siwoo Kim, lose strokes to the field, for example? He loses strokes to the field 41% of the time. Now we've got, who else is in here? Cantlay. Cantlay's only 34% of the time. And who's the other one? Burnsy. Burnsy can get pretty bad here. So 42, 52, 53. So Cantlay is probably the safest to get to Sunday. Has Ben Griffin earned himself a one and done spot in a signature event? I think that's right. And if it's not a signature event, it's definitely like a legit event, maybe Colonial, something like that. I absolutely think he's earned that right. Yes. I forgot to do my build a golfer this week. I'm way behind. Let me load the site and I'll circle back on that. Any thoughts on Dunlap and Hoagie this week? Probably not either for me. If you look, the Dunlap stuff is really interesting because he's literally losing like 2 strokes per round off the tee, literally has like the driver yips. And then Tom Hoagie is, I just don't think he's as sharp as he once was, and he's not the player where he could just get into a wedge and putting contest. I don't think that that's really his skill set anymore. I'm not even kidding when I show you the Nick Dunlap stuff. It's very, very bad. And the fact that he's even making cuts, losing a stroke or 2 off the tee is pretty crazy. So probably taking a pass on both of those golfers. I'm in 25th in Build a Golfer out of 210 from last week. Okay. Let's make a player. So I've got to pick somebody for each one of my 4 skill sets. I don't think guys are going to be able to separate with the driver this week as much because there's just not a lot there. I think they're going to be able to separate with irons and putting. So let's spend up there. Let's get Bezuidenhout with the putter. Irons, can I get I wonder how much I could spend here. Fitzy's 27. Pendrith. Yeah. Pendrith with the irons. And then I've got 24 and 24 to go. Wyndham Clark with the driver because screw it. Just like let it fly. And then we're going to go with wedges. Lee Hodges. That's our golfer for this week. We'll try to stay in the top 10% or so there. One and done pick between Fitz, Noren, Bobby Mack, and Siwoo. Probably still Siwoo. I really like Matt Fitzpatrick. I guess I don't really see myself saving Matt Fitzpatrick for anywhere else but Harbortown. I'm probably not going to play him there. So if you wanted to use Fitzpatrick here, do it. My son Graham, who's 12, that's cool, and I've run 3 models, and Coody and Pendrith show up consistently in the top 15. Rank them on a 10-point scale. I would say Coody is a 8. Pendrith is a 7.5. I'm pretty high on both those guys. Pendrith low-key played great last week. I don't think many people realize that. And then Coody, him bouncing back and forth between Corn Ferry Tour last year and just having success everywhere, and then just knocking the cover off the ball. And like he is, I think I described this on the Second Cut podcast with Greg, is that he's just like taking the Max Homa, Matt Fitzpatrick route. He's just getting better every single year. And I think there's no reason to think that's going to stop anytime soon. So this is the $1 million question every year. Can you opine on whether it's better to play the stadium course early on Thursday versus opening on an easier course? I have tried to run. I can opine on it because I've tried to run the numbers, and every way I look at it, I don't think it makes a difference. I really don't. I think if you ask guys, some would say, yeah, I want to get off to a good start and play the Nicklaus tournament course first. And some would say, oh, I like knowing that I have the tournament course still to come and I can make up ground, right? Like, you're going to get different opinions on this. This to me is a matter of opinion, because I could not find anything that showed there were any trends on this. So I just really don't care. It also the other thing is, these are not random draws, right? Like, they're not just taking a third of the field and randomly putting them on each one of these courses. They're saving, and I guess I should look at I didn't even look at this because I don't care. But I'm assuming that Scheffler is starting, at La Quinta, which is almost certainly going to be La Quinta, and then, let's see, Nicklaus tournament course, and then the stadium course on Saturday. They want the stars at the stadium course on Saturday for television and for fans and all that stuff. So it's not a random draw. That's the other thing that gets lost in all of these entire conversations. It's just like, it's not random. For one and done, do you consider the weather forecast on Thursday and Friday when picking a player? Yeah, but not this week. I would order these for one and done as Siwoo, Berger, Bridgman, Poston. Other guys that you can't burn in one and done other than Scotty. I think the only other one that I saw this question earlier and I was looking through the list, I guess, is Ludwig. Ludwig has been a money printing machine in his career, and there's going to be some really good, Torrey or a Riviera. The Masters, whatever, right? Like, some really good spots for him. I think he's the only one that I'm like, I just could not burn. If you want to burn Cantlay or Griffin or Burns or Henley or Fitzpatrick or anybody else, I think that's fine. The only two that I think are probably bad burns right now, even if they win, are Scheffler and Ludwig. I rank these Hodges, Bridgman, McGreevy, Valimaki. I would argue, so I'm just going to make this case one time because it'll probably come back to bite me and whatever. And it's the only time probably all year I'm going to say it. My investment on Scotty Scheffler this week is probably going to be 0. And every other week throughout the year, I'm certain I will have something. We've got his first start. We've got 3 courses. We've got a full field. We've got just a lot of different highly volatile things that happen at this event. He's going to be very popular. He's also very expensive. I just think so Bet365 had this line where it was like, they set like the break even point, and his was 4th, 3.5. If he finishes 4th, that's an unbelievable result, and that's going to be below expectation. So I'm basically saying, is Scottie Scheffler going to finish in the top 3? I'm taking the no on that, and I think he's still going to have a very good week. But like, you have to get the value out of this. So I'm actually probably just like avoiding Scottie this week, and then I will just shred him in every single lineup and every chance I get the rest of the year. Do I think Max Homa showed enough at the end of last year to try to be early on him? Max Homa is probably not an early guy. Loved what he did at the Black Desert. Okay. Complete game. Loved it. The rest of it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I just worry a little bit because everything was gone. That now after this break, what version do we get? I will not be super early on Max. I will need to see, maybe this week, and he's going to get a couple good spots. Maybe like see what he does at Farmers, and then before we get to Riviera would be pretty cool. So I need to see probably 4 rounds, maybe 6 rounds out of him, but so far so good. Can we run a model? Yeah, let's do it. Custom model. 50 on strokes gained total last 36. 50 on strokes gained total last 36. 25 on opportunities gained. $25. Oh, and 20. Oh, that's 100. And 25 on strokes gained putting last 36. All right, here we go. This is Doug's model. Doug's model has Scottie Scheffler number 1, Rasmus number 2, Alex Noren, Justin Rose, Ben Griffin, Russell Henley, Mac Meisner, Christian Bezuidenhout, Matt Fitzpatrick, Robert McIntyre. That is Doug's top 10. I'll tell you what, it's not bad at all. Any leans in Dubai? Tom McKibben. McKibben is the bet that I've made in Dubai. I just think he's playing great golf. I'll show you his profile here. I think he's a fantastic player. He's played a lot of great golf. He's played a lot of golf since the team championship in LIV. He won in Hong Kong, has a couple other great finishes on the DP World Tour. I believe he lives in Dubai now, right? Plays out of Dubai, has had success at this event, 6th and a 14th. I've gone with Tom McKibben from Hollywood, Northern Ireland. Grew up where Rory grew up. Who is the producer's play of the week? I believe, I think it's Patrick Cantlay. She will put it in the chat, but I'm pretty sure it was Patrick Cantlay. Seeing Scottie at 39%, which I'm sure will be closer to 70, 80. Is this? Yeah. So if Scottie beats me this week, so I believe at this point, I'm completely full fading Scottie Scheffler, and I will. If he beats me this week, fine. And that will make me even happier. The fact that I'm going to have so much Scottie moving forward. I just think this is the worst spot for him. If he wins, he wins. If he finishes 4th, I win, right? If he finishes 9th, I'm crushing everybody. If he finishes 15th, I've won all the money. And those are all good results. Max Grazerman. Okay, so I'm just going to lump. There's questions about Grazerman. There's questions about JT Poston. I'm just going to kind of lump them together. They are both approach plus putting, which in theory is very good here. You're going to just have to hit a lot of shots to 8 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet, make those putts. Okay. Those styles of player are usually more volatile than their peers. Think about Rory McIlroy. Think about guys that drive it well. They get this built-in advantage every single time, no matter what. Okay. Because everybody plays from the same spot off the tee. Approach and putting guys, the margins are much smaller. They're playing from different areas. It's a much more volatile skill set. So when you've got guys like Grazerman and Poston, I'm probably more excited about Poston, but if you're going to play these, like this is the perfect spot to play those guys, you're just going to get some really volatile results. I can't seem to get my model off Eric Cole. Yeah, I would love to know what you're modeling. Here's the thing with Eric Cole. I think he stinks. And I say that obviously jokingly because he's a professional golfer. He's fantastic. And he's a top 50 player in the world. But man, we've got a driving problem. He's not only short, he's crooked, which I don't really even care about crooked here, but like he's short. He's got to be so dialed on his approaches just to get back to even. And then he's got to beat you somewhere else. So yes, I like that it's wide open. It kind of gets rid of one of his problems. I do like that putting will be improved, magnified a little bit. But there's just so many other guys before I would start clicking Eric Cole's name. And seems like a great guy. Awesome player, but not in the sense of this. We've seen many long shots win this event. Yeah, that's true. So I tweeted this out. Average winner's odds for the last 6 years is 150 to 1. Only the Wyndham Championship is longer. It was Swafford at 100 to 1. It was Landry at 200 to 1. It was Dunlap at 300 to 1. And then as DFS Chef points out, like Straka and Siwoo were over 50 to 1. So 5 of the last 6 have been over 50 to 1. John Rahm is the only one who wasn't, which I think speaks a lot to the volatility of this event. I am okay leaving $5,000 on the table. Every week, there is an optimal lineup that is leaving money on the table. I will tell you though, and this never happens to me, and I've got to go build some more lineups. I'm way behind. But the first lineup that I built in the $200 single entry fit perfectly into 50,000, and I loved it. And I never click a lineup and say, I love this lineup. I'm always thinking like, my last guy in, or this is a weak link and I'm sacrificing this or whatever. I never level my $200 single entry lineup. I entered that one. It was exactly $50,000 and I loved it. It just fit perfectly. When the pieces come together like that. Now, when I go and run more lineups tonight, I will probably do some capping of salaries, no more than $49,000 or something like that. John Perry deep dive. I've got some Perry stuff. Let's see what he's up to. Whoops. Hold on. There we go. Look at John Perry. All right. He's got some pretty good results here. The other thing I like about him is he's a very, very, very solid tee to green player. So all the DP World Tour strokes gains coming in here. I'm talking 4, 5, 6, 7. Upwards of 10 in some situations, strokes gained from tee to green. He's not that big. This is, who is this like? Is this like Hideki or like, he's going to lose strokes a lot, but he's capable of popping, which is a really good sign. So that's a good thing there. Thoughts on some low 6K guys. All right. I'm willing to get as freaky as I've ever gotten. So I'm if you want to get Scotty in, I think you go to AJ Ewert, who is the min price. I think if you wanted to play Davis Chatfield, not bad. Jimmy Stanger, I think is back healthy and ready to rock and roll again. Where else would I go? Blades Brown, Joe Highsmith wouldn't be the worst. They're $6,300. Adam Svensson is $6,400. He's using the broomstick again. Or I shouldn't say again, he's using the broomstick. I don't know if he ever did that before. David Ford is 65. I think there's plenty of, if you do want to get Scotty in, I believe there are plenty of ways to do it. Novak is up next from the Sambino. Oof. What did he do at the Hero? I was going to say, I thought he played well on Thursday at the Hero. He did. He was miserable the rest of the, this is a tough profile. I hope that in the last month he has figured something out, but this is a pretty ugly profile. Pretty ugly. Played well at home at Sea Island where he was finished T7, but really struggled on the weekend. The metrics aren't very good. Yeah, that's not very exciting for me. My betting card in which you should not bet because you shouldn't care what I bet. I don't spend your money. You don't spend mine. But again, I'm behind, so I only have 3 outrights in right now. Ryan Gerard, Christian Bezuidenhout, and Seamus Power. And I believe they are 80 on Gerard, which I missed the 100 on. I was too slow on Sunday night. 80 on Gerard. I think it's 100 on Bezuidenhout. I think it's 160 or 170 on Seamus Power. Alex Noren is interesting because when I went and looked at what did I do over here? I was doing high floors, right? High floors, Alex Noren showed up, I believe. Is that true? Yeah, it was. Yeah. He's third in this field over the last 100 rounds of gaining at least 2 strokes to the field 40% of the time. He's second, actually. He's tied with ADDC, and he's doing it in a much more difficult schedule than ADDC. The other kind of scary part about this is he has a lot of upside. Win twice on the DP World Tour, had the close call at the Wyndham, had the close call at the Hero, third and second. Yeah, I mean, Noren might be like the most forgotten about player on this slate. He's playing the best golf of his life. What do you think is the best approach for modeling this week? Where are we missing course data on the 2 courses? Oh, where we're missing. Should we factor in high, birdie, or better? Yeah, all right, so let's do this. Let's just do this, okay? Let's do things that every golfer has, all right? So let's do a last 36 rounds of weighted strokes gain total for 20. Then we will do, I think it depends on what you want, but I think we want high upside, right? So let's take golfers who gain 3 or more strokes, 4 or more strokes, 5 or more strokes to the field. How often they do that? 10, 10, and 10. So that's halfway there. Then we're going to do birdies or better for 25. And then let's do, what did you recommend? Weighted strokes gained approach for the last 25. Scotty Scheffler, Ben Griffin, Ludwig, Kiefer, Rose, Hoey, Thor Bjornsson, Meisner, ADDC, Akshay. It's not bad either. Thank you for the nice comment. I've already talked about JT Poston. Shouldn't we just run a model of 50% putting and 50% birdies? Yeah, all right, sure. Let's do it. So let's just do 50 on strokes gained putting. Last 50 rounds. We're going to do that. And then birdies. This is Zlizzard's model. Emilio Gonzalez, Scotty Scheffler, Alex Noren, Robert McIntyre, Harry Hall, Ben Griffin, Rasmus Højgaard, S.H. Kim, Matt McCarty, Sam Burns. Any plans on making a phone app for Rick Run? Sorry, I was not sharing my screen there. My bad. I thought I was. My bad. Any plans on making a Rick Run Good phone app? No. I can say almost unequivocally, no. I have no desire to do that. I have a desire to make it much better mobilely friendly with like a web app, but like an app from the app store, like as long as I own 100% of it, no. Now, if someone comes in and says, hey, Rick, I'll give you $1.5 million. My only, you could just go on vacation. My only contingency is that you have to build a mobile app. Okay, then I'll do it. Maybe. But like, I have zero desire to do that. Ever thought of including data on average fantasy points? Like average fantasy points last 3? Sure. Where do you want it? Tell me where you want it. I'll do it. That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. In on Harry Hall. Okay, I'm finally getting to the point where I've answered like questions about these players before. Thank God. Thoughts on the best DK? DK tourney matchup misprice. Jason Day over whoever he's matched up against. I can't remember who it was. Grazerman? I can't remember who it was. There was one on there. I don't have it up, but that one. Hey, Rick. If we're expecting a lot of birdies, shouldn't we first look at bogey avoidance and then birdie rate? Okay. So let's do this. Let's do 50% on birdies or better, 50 on bogey avoidance. Joey's number one is Scotty Scheffler. Chandler Blanchett, Emilio Gonzalez. Is Emilio Gonzalez going to win this week? He's now modeling. Ben Griffin, John Vanderlaan, ADDC, Johnny Kiefer, Hank Lee Biota, Austin Smotherman, Michael Thorbjornsen. Want to give you a shout out for you and your matchup tool. Thank you. Used it for round by round matchups. Anyone that was favored on your site and getting plus money, he went 8-3-1. Thank you. You were bullish on Sahith to start the year. Enough to trust him this week. Shaky ball striking despite the 31st. Yeah, it was not good. The positive thing about Sahith is that it was really bad on Thursday, and then he grinded back into that championship, right? He played great on Friday, great on Saturday. Picked up 7 strokes there between those 2 rounds, and then he was like dead even on Sunday. I did not like the fact that he lost over 3 strokes ball striking. I obviously did not like that, but I liked the grit, the comeback, the yada, 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 all that fun stuff. Still bullish. We can't do that every week, though. Can't lose 4 strokes every single week. Strokes gained during pro-ams. Yeah, I have it. I'm not going to stop the show and pull it right now, but that's a good question. Am I crazy for saying I'm guaranteeing an Alex Noren win on the PGA Tour this year? I think that's not a bad thing. Can you discuss the difference between descriptive information and predictive information as it relates on the course key stats? Okay. If I understand your question. So descriptive information would be like the stats summary, right? Which is telling you how this course compares to other courses. Similar with off the tee, there's nothing really predictive about that. It's just value-based stuff. The predictive stuff would start coming down here, which is these adjustments that we're making. So the adjustments based on strokes gain approach and where shots are going to come from and how valuable they are and how good golfers are from each one of those spots, that starts to become predictive because you start getting those adjustments. And same thing with the putting side of things. And then, of course, the overall course fit. So I would say everything above this table right here, the approach buckets, is probably descriptive. And then everything below that is more predictive. Hope that helps. Sure. I would have done that. I just read that, but yeah, no problem. Okay. So here I would say I'm a 7 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10 on Will Zalatoris. Maybe I'm a sucker. Maybe I remember the days where he was competing and contending at every major championship. But I think there's a case to be made that what we saw in December, which, by the way, if you're only looking where there's PGA Tour data, you're not seeing Will Zalatoris' most recent start, which was on the World Tour, where he gained 8.7 strokes from tee to green and lost 1.3 with the putter. Vintage Will Zalatoris right there. Just vintage Will Zalatoris. So that to me is a really, really good sign in his first start back. The way he's being priced, the sentiment around him is at just all-time lows. He's played well at this event before. He's going to get 54 guaranteed holes. He's going to be able to take dead aim. He's not going to have any wind. He's not going to have I think Will Zalatoris can make a ton of birdies this week. I'm pretty excited about it. Last man in, Sahith or Ryan Gerard. Okay, this might hurt when this gets clipped, it's Ryan Gerard by a mile, right? And I'm a big Sahith fan. Ryan Gerard is like one of the best players in the world right now. I can dial the excitement back a little bit. He's one of the top 20 PGA Tour players in the world right now. Okay. It's Gerard by a mile, isn't it? Heard some thoughts regarding lineup construction where you stack guys playing the stadium course on Saturday. How would I go about proving this? What do you want to prove? I mean, you can just look up how they play at each course, but the guys who play the stadium course on Saturday are the best players in the field. I don't know if I understand that question. What does TIA mean? Rick TIA. I don't know what that means. Oh, thanks in advance. Okay, Armina told me. Yes, I'll do the deep dive on Denny in a second. The greens for this week. The stadium course is a POA overseed. The Nicklaus course is a POA overseed. La Quinta is a POA ryegrass overseed. Here's Denny McCarthy. TIA. Thanks in advance. I learned that. Okay. That's new to me. Okay. This is vintage Denny, but I don't mean that in a good way. Excellent putter, fantastic putter, top 3 putter in the world. But he goes through these stretches. He does this like 8 tournaments in a row where he's hitting it really well, and then he loses it for like 10. And then he hits it really well for 8, and then he loses it for like 10. And I think we're in the lose it phase. He's kind of streaky. To me, Denny Griffin is not a popper. He kind of foreshadows what's coming. And I do not see that coming. Yeah, I'm bummed it's not available everywhere either. Yeah, Dan Brown's a great player. 60-1, $7,800. I think he's going to be like, there's a pretty good chance he's in one of the optimal lineups for this week. Can we do a deep dive on Alex Smalley and his chances of getting his first win this season? All right, well, let's look at this. So we need upside, right? We need upside to get victories. We've got them, but they're, few and far between. So he might only get in the mix a couple of times a year. The problem is, he's not very good. No, the problem is, I mean, to win a golf tournament on the PGA Tour, you're probably going to have to gain strokes in all 4 categories. And I mean, that is rare for him. And he's got a deficiency around the green. He's got a deficiency with the putter. He's not super stout anywhere. I would say he is a dog to get his first win this year. I like Justin Rose, but not because of an albatross that he made in a simulator that has questionable ball physics. Liv purchases Rick Rudgud for $200 million. Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you what. If Liv wants to purchase Rick Rudgud for $200 million, I'll build a mobile app. That I'll do. Rick, I'm at work listening, but I can't pull up Rick Rudgud. I know this problem. Okay. Looking for a Jacob Bridgman deep dive. I think it's a little too much for one and done, but I think that if you want to play him for DFS purposes, I think it's pretty good. I like what he did to Sony. I like that he has legitimate top 5 and top 20 upsides we've seen from him. I think this is a pretty good spot for him. I hated earnings. It's too much like outright or one and done. All right, Mina, do you have, I can't see it because I'm in StreamYard, Mina. Can you just like tell me what's the current split on the 2 options, please? Why did Seabez perform so poorly at the MX last season as opposed to previous years? Statistically, remember, we only have the only rounds that are on ShotLink are the stadium course rounds. So last year he lost 3 strokes ball striking. He might hit some balls in the water. That's not very good. I would not worry about, okay. In the same way that I think there's volatility for winners of this event, I don't really care if you miss a cut here. It's a really weird event when you start looking at it compared to other events and like the factors that go into it. I don't care about that at all, quite honestly. Mina says 63% on earnings. Okay. Well, you 37 percenters, you better start voting if you don't want earnings, because the earnings people are beating you. I think Sam Burns will be, from a DFS perspective, I think he's going to be one of the top 5 highest owned players. I think from a one and done perspective, I think he's firmly in the second tier. So if the tiers are, I think Siwoo and Cantlay are pretty popular. I think Burns is in that second tier with like Burns, Ben Griffin, Russell Henley, Harry Hall, I would say. That's where I think he's going to be popularity wise. I never get Sam Burns right. If I had 10 one and done entries or 12, I might get Burns in one of them. It's kind of whack-a-mole though. Something different every week gives him trouble, which I don't love. This is a big question. With one and done moving from office football pool to Splash, is there a way to see site-wide pick selection? So Splash was going to post it on their blog. I don't think I've seen it yet. I'll check real quick. I don't see it yet. And I know this gives people like, it's weird because I agree that like being able to have the site-wide stuff before the tournament starts is kind of weird, but at the same time, it's always been available for the last 10 years. And the merging of the brands has kind of like that page is gone now. So I guess I'll look for the blog when that pops up. I don't see it. The pool, I generally agree with the Pool Genius stuff. I don't know if Ben Griffin is like I don't know how they do this. I don't know what 3 dots means. I don't think Ben Griffin's going to be that popular. I think it's going to be Cantlay, Siwoo, next tier, Burns, Henley, Hall, maybe Ben Griffin's in there. I think Ben Griffin's a little too good to use right now. Oh, this is a good call, and we haven't talked about him yet. Like Sepp Straka might just be back, baby. Right? We did confirm, he was dealing with that personal thing at the end of last year. Seems like everything's honky dory, and was fantastic at the Hero, and he won this event last year. Like, are we just sleeping on Sepp Straka? Earnings is too advantageous. Is that true? So it says this: if you don't have the winner in the tier, it's almost impossible to cash. Is that true? I mean, I guess it depends on if the winner is 2% owned or 40% owned. I do think that, the anti-earnings people are very vocal, but they're not winning the vote. I don't know. If you could smoke a joint with anybody on the PGA Tour, who would it be? Victor Hovland, and I would remind him to stay off the weed. Looking at past one and done winners, it seems like the winners rarely start. Sorry. I started reading that before I saw the. I'm on the boat of it does not matter what course you start on. Just to throw that back out there. Out on Homa, but close. Out on Novak, and not as close. Let's have a conversation about live betting holes another time where I don't have another 100 questions to get through, but I think there are some ways that we could do this. The Michael Brennan stuff is a little scary. So what he did at Black Desert was just nuts. And then what he's done since then has been not good. Okay. Not very good. losing from fairway through green in each of the last 2 starts is a little bit concerning. I also don't necessarily think this is a spot like, okay, at Black Desert, right? There was a way you could gain a lot of strokes off the tee because there was a way you could lose a lot of strokes off the tee. If you hit it into the lava rock, you are cooked. If you hit a 350-yard drive down the middle, like he was doing on every single hole, you were gaining a lot. I don't know if that's going to be the case here. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of off the tee separation, which is by far his best thing. So a little bit worried about Mike Brennan. Mookman says, can we get a deep dive on Carson Young? T70 in the Bahamas on the Corn Ferry, withdrew from Q School, missed cut at RSM, T55 at Bermuda. This isn't very good. Played well in Cabo, did not play well before that. This is tough scene. This is a golfer who's not playing all that well. 2 good results here, but he was probably playing better golf leading into both of those. Yeah, this is tough. This is not good. This is not good. Yes, I would consider Gerard and one and done. Gerard would probably be my 3rd or 4th favorite, right? Your Cantlays, your Kims, then your Harry Halls, your Ryan Gerards. If you wanted to play Fitzpatrick, fine. Yeah, I'm in on Gerard. Historically, the stadium course is the only one with shot link. Is there any way to get ownership percentages for showdown rounds on the cheat sheet? It's on my list. Can you run a model with the combination of these stats? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stats. So I'm just going to put 20 on each. Where's the custom model? I always close tabs. I get going. I get excited. I'm like a puppy dog, and I always start closing tabs here. All right. Let's do, this is Ajax's model. And I'm just going to put 20 on each for you. So we're going to go approach, 20 on strokes gained approach. We are going to go birdie or better, 20. Par 5 scoring. Putting. And proximity from 100 to 125. I'm sorry, 100 to 150. Did I fat finger this somehow? 20, 40. Oh, yeah, I did fat finger this. Hold on. God, I'm so zoomed in too. Okay. Ajax's model. Scotty. Ben Griffin, Sam Burns, Sammy Valimaki, Emiliano Grillo, Kurt Kitayama, Fitzy, Hall, Ludwig, Matt Wallace. Is there a way to preview tiers before entering a contest? I don't know. I always just enter the contest. I don't know. Really don't like it. I think you could withdraw. Is that true? Can you withdraw? Yeah, you can withdraw. Look. Oh, my head's in the way. It's up here in the upper right. If you click those 3 dots, you can withdraw. I mean, I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but can you help me think this through? Empiric observation is previous winners were all stellar at short game as the factor that made cut makers into winners. I'm not 100% sure I'm following. I might have to circle back on that. Minwoo Lee deep dive. Yeah, but I'm not sure you're going to love. Actually, I think he had one. Did he have a good? Oh, I clicked the wrong name. Did he have a God, a good start in Australia? Why am I feeling like he had a good start in Australia? Oh, 2 of them. Oh, 3 in a row, actually. Oh my God. Minwoo. Okay, hold the phones, people. So after the Tour Championship, Minwoo goes over and plays the premier event on the DP World Tour. He finishes T11. Then he goes to France. Michael Kim won there. He finishes T5. Comes back over. Thanks, Mina. Missed the cut at the Sanderson Farms. Finishes 10th at the Bay Current. 5th at the Australian PGA, 14th at the Australian Open. Is Mini back? 21st here 2 years ago. Metrics are not bad. Better than sometimes we saw from. Oh, funny dog. You dirty dog. I think you found Minwoo. Good call on you. Top 5 martingale picks. I wouldn't martingale this, but I think I know what you're going after. So like somebody who's like I would bet every single week. Thorbjornsen is, I think, certainly one of them to get their first win. Let me look at a list. Akshay. God, do I want to commit to anybody else? Kind of can't lay, honestly. I'm going to stop there. That's funny. I got to add that to the outline. Yeah, just exactly right. This is exactly right. Should I put $5 to win 5K on AJ Ewert? Yes. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Can you make any model that's not okay, where Scotty isn't number 1? I wonder if I did. Let me work my way through this. If I did, I'm gonna have to get freaky. Almost every model I've made in the last 2 years, he's been number 1. Strokes gained round 2 relative to himself, and then putts inside 10 feet. Boom. Okay. So first off, where is he here? He is. Oh, yeah, he's below average. Dude, am I the freaking GOAT or what? That is unbelievable that I got him that far down there on my first crack at this. He is 87th. All right. Now, I wonder how much I can work off of this. So if I put 20 on inside 10 feet putting and relative, I guess doing it relative to himself is not very fair, but let's do that. And then let's do, he's not a huge ball speed, club speed guy. Yes, he is it far enough, but he's not. And then watch this. I could really cheat and do right to left. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just picking all the opposite. Did I push him down any farther? No, he came up a little bit. He's now slightly above average. He's now 58th. That was a fun exercise. I prefer a mixture of the La Quinta and the tournament course, but just historically, or at least last year, this is the info. The tournament course was a little bit easier. This is from my newsletter. So more fairways were hit, just as many greens were hit, about half a birdie more on average, and a couple of percentage points on birdie or better. Burns and McIntyre ownerships. I've got Burns at about 16.6, McIntyre at 21. Sudarshan Yelamaraju deep dive. All right. This is really going to test the database. Do I have anything on him? $6,400. Of course I have things on him. Oh, he played on the Corn Ferry Tour last year. Okay. This is actually not the worst thing I've ever seen. Had this stretch here on the Corn Ferry, which wasn't very good, but he had a lot of top like 5 or 6 finishes. And then he's gotten more consistent as of late. T24, T24, T25. That was at Royal Queensland. That was in Australia. Look at this guy. And then he played the Sony and had a complete game and finished T13. Is he good? Sudarshan Yelamaraju. I'm going to track him. That is really interesting. Why is he just completely flown underneath the radar? It's not bad. Good job, guys. Yeah, I'm going to start the entire stream over. Okay. All right. Mina, make another poll, please. So we have a Slack channel. I'm going to tell you, I hate Slack. Okay. 1, it's expensive. 2, I don't think it's very good for like community building. It erases all the history. I just don't think it's very good for our purposes. Should we switch to a Discord? I thought about this very hard this offseason, and I wanted to do it, and I got a little scared and I got a little nervous. But I think we should switch to a Discord. But I was like, man, I'm going to piss off a lot of people if I do that. And I've already got 4,000 people in a Slack. How many am I going to get to them? How am I going to get them in a Discord? So let's make a poll. Slack or Discord? What do you want to do? And I will probably abide by whatever you guys say. But if I do it, then you got to get in it. I don't want to also then have a Discord where we lose like 4,000 people and like 25 people are in there like, hey, what's going on? You know, like, but I do think it'll be better. And I think I'd be more active in it if it was a Discord. All right. Let's see what else we got. Do I have any strong feelings about William Mao? Not in my gut. And not really on paper either. Really good stretch here. Kind of struggled towards the end of the year. Didn't play well at the Sony. I don't think Nick Dunlap is finding form. I think he is just I think in Cabo he was hitting 3-wood off the tee and he was losing 20 yards to everybody, and he was hitting some really good shots. I think he's still in a world of hurt is my guess. I would go Harry Hall if I were you. So it's Harry Hall or Sam Burns for one and done. I would roll Harry Hall. I think he's in a great spot this week. Historically, putters at this event. I might have a bunch of filters on here. I do. Clear filters. All years, everybody in this field. Sort by strokes gained putting. Minimum. How many starts do you want to do? Oops. I forgot to put on this tournament. I was like, there's no way Dan Brown has played here 6 times. I knew that didn't make sense. Minimum of 3 starts. Is that what we should do? Again, these are only stadium course numbers. Ben Griffin, Sam Burns, Sepp Straka, Cam Davis, Siwoo, Seamus, Christian Bezuidenhout, Russell Henley. Will you be at the Waste Management Phoenix Open this year? No. I will be in Ponte Vedra doing PGA Tour Live. I don't know if that has been announced yet, but I guess I just announced it. I will be in Phoenix. I will be in Ponte Vedra for that. As much as I'd love to be in Phoenix, but hopefully if you want to tune in and see my smiling face and hear my voice all day long for 4 days, let's get after it. But I'll be on PGA Tour Live. It's a decent consideration. It's under consideration. I will be at Torrey. Did I mention that? I'm like 99% going to be at Torrey Pines on Thursday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday TBD, but like Mina and I will be there Thursday, like probably honestly drunk. If you want to come find us, it's going to be a chill day. We're going to just chill and eat and drink. Come find us. We'll be chilling somewhere. New to the channel. Welcome. Okay. So my one and done has already started, but there are more on Splash. I saw that there's a Ship It Nation one that I think it's $100 entry, and I think there's $150,000 guaranteed. I think there are a few other things, a few other guaranteed ones, but there's still contests running on Splash right now. Most important strokes gain category for winning this week? Approach. Yeah, let's just say approach. Okay. Rick, this says, Rick, the double L in Spanish is pronounced as a Y. Why has no one told the commentators this? It's Emiliano Grillo. It's Castillo. Hello, Earth to the PGA. I hear you. However, I'm going to try to show you something real quick because I think you're going to be like, what in the hell? Yeah, watch this. The pronunciation guide from the PGA Tour says to pronounce it Emiliano Grillo. All right. That's not my opinion. That is what the PGA Tour guide says. Now, I assume that is coming from Emiliano. Okay. Because they ask guys that. They don't just make this up. So for whatever reason, Emiliano Grillo is asking it to be pronounced Grillo instead of Grillo. I understand what you're saying. The Castillo thing is actually different because I assume you're talking about Ricky Castillo, who has asked people to call him Ricky Castillo. Again, look, Castillo, his request. So I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. But this is not what they're telling us. And when they tell us to say their name a certain way, say their name a certain way. Biggest win outright to date. Oh my. Is the IRS listening? Enough to trigger a deposit form at the bank? I don't know. I don't want to yeah. Text me. I had Scotty third in a model with birdie or better in putting. Yeah, that makes sense. Is the newsletter free? Of course it is. Links in the description. Every Wednesday morning you get it. It's 100% free. If I was making 150 lineups, how much would I have with Scotty? I would have, if I was making 150 lineups, I would probably have 10 to 15% with Scotty. Holy shit. Is it really 96% Discord? Armina, is that true? 92% Discord? You're kidding me. I thought you guys were going to be pissed. I thought you guys were going to complain and be like, oh no, I'm slack. I'm losing slack. All right. Okay. So now here's the secondary question. I don't know anything about Discord. Can someone help me set it up? Or like, do I need moderators? If you want to be a moderator, if I need a moderator and you want to be a moderator or whatever, or help, email me, rick@rickrowangood.com. Because I might need some help. Yeah, guys that safe for cash, guys that gain 2 or more strokes to the field as frequently as possible. You could go down to 1 if you wanted to. Mine are quit, but would it be possible to fix the golfer profile pay? Oh, I see what you're saying. So what you want. So watch this. So William Mao. So I think what you're saying is this. Eli, are you saying this? So I clicked William Mao's American Express. So now when I go to Scotty Scheffler, you want that to stay checked so that you can, am I understanding that right? If that's my understanding, that's a good note. But tell me if that's right. Yes, I will probably be at the Genesis. I don't know what days yet, and I don't know. Actually, hold on. I might not be at the Genesis. I might be in Florida. Stand by. I think I'm going to be in Florida. I think I'm doing PGA Tour Live for the Genesis. Ah, boy. All right. I think we're getting towards like the end of like the real questions or like questions I want to, I'm just kind of done answering questions. Okay. Mina, can you provide me the final tallies for both of those? So is it really, so the Slack is getting crushed and what was the other one that we did? What one? Earnings and money or Slack and Discord? This is a democracy, people. I guess I'm just going to go with whatever happens. I'm not a dictator. I wish sometimes, but not all the time. Oh my God. 90-10 Discord. Jesus. Okay. Guess we're doing that. 63-37 on earnings. Guess we're doing that. The people have spoken. The people have spoken. There is a lot of overlay in this tiers contest for this week. We are not even, we're just half full. Okay, well, I'll be putting some more entries in because I'm not going to let free money go. Links in the description for that. Otherwise, I don't know. You guys are great. I'm quite happy with you guys. I don't have anything else, Mina. I will see you guys later.